everyone. I'm WABC Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg. This is Wake Up Weather on ABC7NY and For Weather or Not, sponsored by TD Bank. So forecasts have been waiting all week to deliver as we go back to beautiful and set the stage for a really nice weekend with just one wrinkle as we go into the day on Sunday. But overall, the forecast turning drier in terms of low humidity and also getting sunnier. Friday's going to be absolutely gorgeous day with just some patchy clouds. Very pleasant on your Friday with the dew points in the lower 50s. There'll be a lot of sunshine. I will show you or at least discuss where we may have some patchy clouds at times, but it won't interfere with what will be a beautiful day. The weekend. Now, it's getting really warm. We're in the upper 80s, but the humidity stays at lower levels. And right now, just looking at the overall sky coverage, I'd say Sunday is probably a little cloudier in places. Saturday looks like the sunnier day. Both days are good days, but there's one beach area in particular we might get into a little bit more cloudiness because of an offshore low. I'll get to that in a moment. The extended forecast. The trend next week will be for the humidity to start to build and thunder shower threats starting to return. Probably Tuesday and beyond, but there is an outside chance that even an isolated thunder shower could start appearing on Monday. When you look at that muggy meter, we've got these dew points that have already peaked. They're dropping through the 60s, and they'll be in the low and middle 50s on Friday, which is pretty rare for late July. And the great thing is they kind of hold there in that level right through the day on Saturday. Dew points are still in the 50s, and even on Sunday, only inching towards 60. It's early next week when we start getting north of 60, and I would say by Tuesday and Wednesday, middle, maybe even upper 60s, and it's starting to feel pretty sticky out there, and the storm threats return. So in terms of the futurecast, the trend is to clear things out, but there will be some lingering patchy cloudiness, especially south of New York City, because the cold front that's bringing the relief is not too far offshore, and there are clouds riding along that front. So there might be some patchy clouds tomorrow morning, especially city south, could brush the south shore of Long Island, while our northern suburbs will be pretty clear, and it will actually be in the 50s in some of our northern suburbs, like northwest New Jersey into the Hudson Valley, could be in the upper 50s, even lower 50s in some of the Catskills. Those patchy morning clouds will move offshore, and it should become mostly sunny for a while, but then we'll get some patchy cumulus clouds building during the afternoon hours. So at times it could go sunny to partly sunny, but overall super pleasant. Mid-70s in the Catskills, low to mid-80s across most of the area, and again, very low humidity. We should clear things out for your Friday night into Saturday morning. Great temperatures. 60s, most of our suburbs, mid and upper 50s far north and west. Most of our suburbs, again, will average in the 60s, in the city probably just squeaks below 70 degrees for a time. Saturday afternoon, sunshine, a few patchy clouds. Looks like a sea breeze is kicking in, but again, another very pleasant day. And I would say in terms of the beaches, that's going to be our sunnier of the two beach days over the weekend. What's happening is the front that's gone offshore, it's sitting pretty far out in the Atlantic, but low pressure is forming over the outer banks of North Carolina. The front is kind of hanging back through the southeast. And that low wants to spin offshore. Now, it should be pretty far offshore on Sunday, but some of its cloudiness may want to swing back into the area, and the areas that are most vulnerable to that would be the eastern end of Long Island. So that's how I would say on Sunday, might have a little bit more patchy, at least high cloudiness on the east end, whereas the Jersey Shore would be sunnier that day. The other thing that we're going to be watching is the progression of some of the wildfire smoke, as now that we're getting more of our flow out of the west-northwest, some of that smoke is coming eastward in a much lighter concentration than it is out west. But there's some indication that even during the day on Friday, there might be a little patchy haze. So all of a sudden, it looks like this deep blue sky for a little while. If it gets hazy for a few hours, that's what you might be seeing with some of the smoke aloft. It doesn't look like the concentration is very high near the ground, and it should get scoured out of the middle and upper atmosphere as we go into Saturday during the day, a little less haze. And when you look at our near ground smoke or near surface smoke, the concentrations may be a little higher later Saturday into Sunday, but I think it's a little bit more of a case where maybe it affects the air quality a little bit over New England, but not so much in the tri-state area. So the theme is a little patchy haze from time to time over the weekend. In terms of the overall weather map, high pressure is set up for a great day on Saturday. I talked about that low offshore, swinging a few high clouds back to the east end on Sunday, and again, maybe some patchy haze. And on Monday, that's really going to be determined by what that low wants to do offshore. It's clear that some moisture is going to try to swing back toward New England. Does that also get into the tri-state area where we're kind of mixing more cloudiness in? Maybe there's an isolated shower. So that's to be determined dependent on that low. The other thing to watch with that low is it doesn't look tropical at first. It's riding not too far from the Gulf Stream. Does it get little tropical characteristics as it tries to swing toward New England early next week? It's kind of all on the table and something to watch as we go into early next week. A front will be approaching from the west on Tuesday. So again, if that low is going anywhere, it's going to bend into parts of New England. We've got a warm front coming in, and I just think that overall our surroundings are getting more unsettled as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday. There's also a chance, because we're starting to bring that thunderstorm chance, and I don't think we're talking washout on Tuesday. If that low over the New England coast, let's say it's in the Gulf of Maine or in the Canadian Maritimes, if we're far enough away from it, we actually benefit from it because it may hold up the front off to the west, minimize our thunder activity, and we're kind of in an area of what we call subsidence where the weather isn't too bad in between the systems. But I'm really getting into some details that we're a little too far out to tell, so something to watch. Just know that our forecast uncertainty definitely increases by the time we get to early next week. The overall temperature profile from the Climate Prediction Center as we head into the first week of August, all the signals are for above normal temperatures. With that said, I don't think we're talking about excessive temperatures like the heat waves we went through, but 90 degrees is within reach. I don't think we're talking about mid and upper 90s in extreme heat, but certainly getting above normal. And if you just look at the overall temperature trend, we've got a warm weekend in early next week. We may pause things a little bit midweek just because of some extra cloud cover and storm chances, and then we're right back in the upper 80s to around 90. So above normal, normal being the middle 80s, but not excessive heat, just kind of more typical summer warmth and humidity. In terms of precipitation, a big signal for below normal precipitation in the middle of the country, and we're considered kind of near normal. And that's important because our latest drought monitor, even given some of our rains last week, we have some patchy dryness and even some areas where we're considered moderate drought, and that's along I-80 in northern New Jersey and also in parts of central interior New Jersey. So something to watch because our rain chances are next to nothing right through the weekend, and then they start to creep up during the week next week. Although in terms of, widespread coverage of showers and storms, I don't see that. Maybe the best chance would be off and on showers on Wednesday and then tailing off late week. Let's look at the tropics because we've had this nice quiet stretch. That's bound to change as we head into August. The first thing we're seeing is more formidable defined waves coming off the African coast. And day after day now, we've had some signal that a wave that comes off the coast over the weekend will start to travel across the Atlantic, may have some definition in somewhere either in the Caribbean or near the Bahamas in the first week of August. Maybe it's the 3rd or 4th. We may be looking at a tropical system down to our south. So we'll be on guard for that. 73 degrees, 7 in the morning on your Friday. It is comfy. What a different feel, energizing. Mostly sunny and much drier. It will be in the 50s well north and west. Your high on Friday will be in the low and perhaps middle 80s. Won't be perfectly sunny. There will be some patchy clouds like we talked about, but it's a beautiful day, again, with low humidity and highs in the mid 80s. Air quality is moderate. UV index is very high again at an 8, and the pollen count low to medium. Boaters, a northwest wind about 5 to 10 miles an hour, 2 to 4 foot waves. The water temperature is 68 to 76. The rip current risk, it's at moderate, trending lower, but still on the moderate side. So make sure you're checking with your lifeguards at the area beaches. When we talk about the weekend, again, a great looking beach weekend, especially Saturday. I just want to emphasize we could have some more clouds on Sunday out in the Hamptons, and they may keep temperatures down a little bit. Weekend getaway, beautiful for the Catskills. Wall-to-wall sunshine and dry and getting really warm over the weekend. The Jersey Shore looks good all days, low to middle 80s. And the one change I made with the Hamptons is we've got sunshine on Friday and Saturday, lower 80s, but a little bit more cloudiness coming in on Sunday. And if the cloudiness looks a little thicker, we may be just shy of that 80-degree mark. We'll keep you posted there. Tomorrow night, it is 69 degrees, mainly clear, very comfortable, 50s north and west. Here's your 7-day forecast. Comfortable on Friday with sun and patchy clouds, very warm but still low humidity on Saturday, and some high clouds, especially east on Sunday. Monday's a warm day but a bit more humid. Right now I'm keeping a shower out of the forecast. We'll have to see what that offshore low does. Introduce a couple of storms on Tuesday, especially in the afternoon. Probably be a little bit more numerous on Wednesday. Still a chance of a thunder shower on Thursday. It looks like that whole mess gets pushed offshore. That could be good timing for next weekend. Your 7-day AccuWeather forecast is always available on ABC7NY 24/7. And thanks for watching this or listening to this episode of Whether or Not. We'll see you next time, rain or shine.